Hi, it's Sonia. Welcome back to my art channel. Today we're going to do, it's going to be a chill, hopefully, chill for me to make video because I'm just going to make it in real time. I may have to stop and start it because there's major building work going on next door. So I do have a small lav mic, but a little microphone, a cheap one, which I haven't used for a while. So if it gets really noisy, I'll switch to that. But this is going to be, an art process that come work alongside me, hopefully. Hopefully you're making something. It'll be real time and slow. Yeah, this Vemeer book I got for $2 from a library sale recently. And I really like it. I got oh my gosh, I don't want to try that. I got another one as well. I like these old artist ones because they're not my, I don't paint in this style, I don't. Yet they're kind of fun to copy from. It's like you're looking at another time, history, and you always, I feel like you do always learn something, and sometimes I feel like I get to, if I really want to play about, and I've shown this, there's a video on it ages ago, it's from one of my figure drawing sketchbooks, and I just used Posca pens, and I only had a few Posca pens, so I did acrylic markers for drawings from old masters, and that was really fun. It was a way to sort of practice drawing, but yet sort of see what I could do with acrylic markers as well. So yeah, I've been using this book. I love it because it's, as I say, it's slim. It's, it's not a bulky book, and yet it has a lot of colour reproductions and information should I want to have a sit down and a read. So I have used it in my altered sketchbook. As per usual, this is turning out to be a great deal of, here we go, so you can see here, I think the background is acrylic ink. I was using up some acrylic inks. Can I just say, I had a bit of a, do you ever have sort of weird times where you're reflecting? I think I was journaling. I was like, oh gosh, I've had definitely feel like I have accomplished some of my goals in terms of one of the subjects I was talking about over the last year, 6 months on my sort of, to myself on, to you guys on YouTube, was using what I had and being aware of art materials that needed using up. And I can say I definitely have achieved that and I hope used my art materials in a good, fun way. Like this is some old acrylic ink that some of the inks were getting a bit, old, and they were just been there for ages, and I wanted to, because some materials can get gunky, some don't. Watercolour pans, I can hear. Shall I switch to a microphone, or can you bear that? Next time I will use my microphone. Fingers crossed this all works. If I suddenly do a voiceover, it's because my sound has been completely lost. Anyway, let's get on with, where was I? Okay, so I definitely have used up some more of my older art supplies. We're getting a bit gunky that I felt I didn't want to waste. And I've used them in experimental and fun ways, some pieces that I want to keep, so that's good. And I discovered that acrylic ink is actually quite a nice background for altered sketchbooks. Anybody interested in altered sketchbook project, especially if you actually kind of want the text to come through, or the underneath, whatever your background is, and to be there as a, just as a feature. And then I drew in, this is using brush pen. Brush pen seemed to work fine over it. I did some very quick, these sort of sketches don't take long at all. And I think I need to actually do some more acrylic ink backgrounds, because I'm not so sure I would do the brush pen on these gouache, because it's going to reactivate, whereas acrylic ink won't as a background. But what we can do is a quick fun drawing together, a couple from here. Maybe we'll do an abstract, I don't know. Maybe I will keep this fairly short because I'm not sure how this is gonna, my microphone is gonna last. And as I say, we'll have to bear with me. I maybe end up over the next few months doing a lot of voiceovers. Okay, so well, before I start my art, anything else I just wanted to chat about art ideas I've done. Yes, and so in terms of being conscious of using what I have, there's some ways I have failed as well at this miserably, but in terms of the positives, I want to also make a video in the future because I have wanted to talk about acrylic markers that I have received, because I really wanted to do sort of a 6-month follow-up. I think where you artists reviewing materials can be particularly helpful with when they're trying to give their best feedback, and it's going to be different for everyone. Like I think it's impossible to know if you're going to like them. You need to try a material to find out if you're going to like it. But I think if you get enough people reviewing a product, you can see how well it performs. Something very interesting. I watched oh my gosh, who is it? Is it Sarah Renee Clark got shown to me on YouTube, and she has done an amazing light fast check if you're into light fastness and archival properties of pencils and markers. She's really gone the extra mile to test out this in a very sort of scientific way. I don't know how many hours that video took her, and the reason for this was because there is I sometimes wonder this as well, like the information that you're given by companies, how accurate is it? Because we don't know what our art materials sometimes are made of. You can only trust, like, if they say it's light fast. And obviously, but the great thing is artists, are sharing as well openly their own light fast tests. And so yeah, and it was interesting that some brands she felt they weren't as light fast as they declared. And so yeah, I was wondering as well with how do especially acrylic markers, which I find at the best of times can be a bit what's the word, temperamental, even Poscas I've had. But in general, I've been very impressed with Posca pens, and they last and last. And there is videos on YouTube for those who want to recycle. I know you can actually, there's a method, if you're happy fiddling around with a monkey wrench, there's a way of refilling them as well with your own inks. And I personally have always found that I've got some really old Poscas, but even if I've stored them for a bit, they tend to get going nicely. So I've just distracted myself, haven't I? This is what happens on a relaxed video when there's a load of noise going on. This will be good for me to try and focus without just ignore background noise. In future, I'll have to bring some headphones in and just work with headphones. Okay, here this is going to now see, sometimes then, it's so typical, isn't it? When I thought I had, after a lot of using the same material, come to some conclusions. This pen, this Artex, this is one of the sort of valve system ones, is actually working really nicely without. But I have found, my finding after I don't know how many months, is that, okay, this one is also, okay, that one's trying to demonstrate now. Okay, they're all actually, I thought I had found that some of them were, no, it may be because this morning I came in, I was up super early, I couldn't sleep, so I came in at like 5 in the morning. And okay, yeah, here, for example, occasionally I have found, and I have changed some nibs, which is because you do get some spare nibs, to be fair, and that sort of helped in some ways. But I was having to, I don't want to do it too much because it's going to be really annoying. I've just ordered a new desk clamp because I think that one is getting old, and so I know it's annoying when the desk, this desk is going to move at times because it has only got sort of 2 feet. It's not one of the sturdy 4. Okay, now that is working. So they definitely do need a bit of a helping hand to press down and get them going. But yeah. Anyway, I'm going to carry on using because I want to see how long they last for. And so, do you know what? I'm trying to show you, like, just sometimes I was finding them a bit scratchy and annoying, but maybe that is a case to just be patient when you get them out again, and they just do need a lot, shake again, press, do a lot of, I want to do it on my hand so it doesn't jog that, like you have to like, I was having to hit it down. But here I don't mind if the ink splodges everywhere, because this is a crazy fun, I guess it's my sort of my own little sort of a colouring book in some sense. I'm putting colours against each other, patterns, I can go with what I feel. It is just, I actually like the results, but at the same time I find this sort of art really is great to do early in the morning, to get out of my own head, out of my own sort of like ego as it were, or just if I'm starting to, I don't know, spiral, but start to sort of question where I'm going with art. Like, what do I even have to worry about that? Can I just not enjoy the process of colour and the feel of my materials and playing around in a, you know, $2 sketchbook? Okay, let us though. I can do that process. One of those processes. I think I'd want to do it with these markers, because so these ones, these brush pens, because I don't have to bang them obviously, so it's not going to jerk. As I say, let's try this new clamp when it arrives, and I will donate. I'm not pass. I assume someone might want this one. Who, it's fine as long as you don't, if you don't shake the table. And I'm a very I guess that sounds awful, aggressive artist. No, but you know what I mean. I like to really press down, even with crayons and paints. I've been wobbling my videos. Let's just demonstrate why I quite enjoy using a master copy. Oh, in terms of big failures though, where it's all gone wrong. So I have been using what I have, and I've actually, and I've also been, I'll try and insert, I did take a photo. I have, yeah, if anybody wants to, if you want to see some of my older sketchbook tours, see them now, because actually I'm starting to declutter my shelves. I actually don't want to keep, because I'm making new sketchbooks, I'm getting a bit more, from time to time I like to get rid of, I've drawn that one, let's try, I want to get rid of, do that head, now there's some older sketchbooks that are taking up space, and I went through and I looked through an old one from, oh my gosh, 2018, 2016, and it served its purpose. It was a vehicle for me to keep drawing at a time when actually I think I was pretty, that was a harder time to get drawing, because my youngest was like 2 or 3 and he'd stopped napping, and yeah, like I could see in that sketchbook I was doodling, I have to say, this is interesting to me. I want to do this with crayon, because I tell you what worked really well. Oh, here we go. Let's use these Neocolor 1 crayons. See, these come up. This is just a cheap sort of like one of these jelly gouache backgrounds. But actually, I do need to put them back in the the airtight cases from time to time. So here, I just want to test out what colour I think is going to work well. Yeah, I just didn't love that old sketchbook. It had a lot of used, what was it called now? Sketchy app? It might have changed, museum app. It was one where people uploaded, I was practicing portraits. I did a lot of fine liner, small, tiny, tight portraits, because I wanted to get better at portraits. I actually used to like do watercolour portraits of people. And so it was quite important for me. I really wanted to get a likeness there, and I was also interested in doing them on pattern backgrounds. And yeah, I looked at those portraits of people and I just didn't feel, they just were a bit for me bland. I was obviously quite timid. They were like tiny, little, tight. I was just trying to see if I've got anything. There was a one. No. Tiny, tight portraits. I like the blue. These 2 blues. And it was so big and battered, this sketchbook. It was like this fat. and it was falling apart, so I'd had to tape it anyway. And there were a few, oh, you know what? Let me just quickly, while I'm here. So this is what remains. I'll have shown, I didn't want to go through it because I understand, and I feel the same. Like, sometimes you watch artists and like, I'm going to chuck this out, and then you disagree with them. So, why are you getting rid of that? That's so cool. So, but you know, your sketchbook, your rules. You get to do what you want to do. So this is out of a massive sketchbook. This is now all that remains of it. So it was like, I think I've basically saved what? Well, it's not 25%. I don't know, 20% of it, maybe 10%. A lot of it has been gone into recycling because it's all water-based paint, so that's fine. Yeah, and the ones I've kept, so it was interesting for me. So yeah, this was the sort of thing I was doing. The ones I've kept basically are more, I kind of like that, but they're my kids. I'm not even sure I should have kept this. Some pages I've kept because I can reuse. This will be fun within an abstract collage or for collaging. This could be fun collaging material. But there was lots of pages, even sort of the little portraits that I didn't really fancy collaging. I didn't even feel like there's anything. Yeah, more the personal significant ones. There were a lot of, I can't tell you what I chucked out. So I quite like that. That was a good reminder. Just grab a plate of fruit sometimes and have fun with gouache, painting loosely. But yeah. And I have to say, I felt really good getting rid of it. It's made space for, because if you've seen, I've actually done a few new sketchbooks, and they're sketchbooks at the moment I want to keep. So they've got this, I need to make space on my shelves for all this stuff. And I am. So that's something I feel for myself is kind of like a positive. And however, on the sort of not so great side, I still feel I have been, maybe it's just getting back to it at the beginning of the turn a little bit. You know, I thought I had this focus, and I have to confess, I did purchase some rather expensive oil paints because I'd found out about solvent-free oil painting, and I was like, oh, I haven't done that since A-levels, and there was a time where I really liked the consistency, and I'd seen this summer when was it, the Met Museum, John Singer Sargent, and I've always loved John Singer Sargent's work. I think when I was doing A-levels, that was, you know, one that caught my eye. And therefore I was thinking to myself, now how do I what sort of style do I want to do with this? I think I had a go the other day. This is going to be crayons. I kind of want it loose. Maybe, but I kind of want, let's get that bow really bright. So you know, for my own work, if I was going to paint family, friends, that's I love his sort of style, and I think I like the fact that it's just, I don't know, the brushstrokes are so loose, yet you get that, yeah, it all ties together, and his use of the paint is so luxurious. So I was like, oh, you know what? There's solvent-free. Use the water. Let's get this expensive set of oils, which I did, and I gave myself an afternoon, and I'm glad I didn't video it. I thought, I've got, you know, some paper, canvas paper. Let's try and do a self-portrait. And oh my gosh, it started off, it felt good. I was like, oh, I've got the flow of this. And then I don't know what happened. I just really struggled in it. Maybe I just need to go back. I think to do it, I'd have to give myself and go back to basics, actually read up again on it. Because it is a long, long, long time since I've used oils. I did not. And the other problem, this is actually the major thing for me, I forgot how The smell as well is quite. I'm able at the moment to have windows open. Actually, maybe that's why it's so noisy in here. Maybe I should have the windows shut. Windows open and the door open and have good ventilation. But even with that, there is a smell. And then you've also got the disposing of the rags. I wasn't even using the oil paint in a very flamboyant way, but also got that issue. And then, yeah, it's going to be, I was just like, maybe this isn't for me now. Maybe I should just stick with what I know, which is gouache, acrylic gouache, even I'd say acrylics. Yeah, I think I was tempted by oils again because I was like, well, they're also, in comparison, in some ways, they're no worse than with the, acrylics are plastics. Oils have been around for years. There's just, you always feel there's this sort of, not everyone sort of, I don't know, fine artists use oils, and I was like, would I actually love that sort of the luster and that butteriness that you can get? And yes, no, I did enjoy the texture, and I can see they would be fun. I just don't know if I'm ready for that yet. I think I'd need more. It was just so frustrating because there's a whole clean up, and I'm just about, I think where I'm at is, it felt like I could be self-sabotaging myself because I've just got to a stage where I'm really enjoying playing about, being experimental, and I still get time to keep to the, to practice some more traditional drawing, because keeping up those sort of traditional skills, for me, not for everyone, is I've talked about this before, but is something I would want to do. And certain days I just do feel like doing more, like a portrait or a landscape with realistic colours. But other days I don't want to do that, and I want to go all, was it Fauvist or crazy with colour, or I want to be loose and naive and pretend that I don't know, try and remember what it's like to be a kid again, and have no rules. I think I love variety. And I guess that's probably why I thought, let's pick up a new material. And so that was a good learning point for me. And at the end of the day, they're good quality oils. They can be put away and stored for a bit. And ultimately, if I don't love them in the future, like I return, or I feel like I don't need oils, I will just donate them. There's so many. The other great thing, and I have given away, I have, come to conclusions and given away some art supplies because I realise they're just not for me. Is they can go to artists who really do love oils. They're gonna love those. Just like once, I was super happy. I was in London when we lived in London. I found some Prismacolor, well, not Prismacolor. What was it called? Winsor Newton Pro markers that had been barely used, and they were quite fun for me to try out. And so cheap because it was it was a charity shop. So yeah, and I was also, I don't know if that's quite a long review video, but the other reason I've been sort of, it wasn't a bad thing, but I was like, maybe, I think my next videos, maybe, I have got one more review video to do. I have some soft pastels to test, and I will, but there's part of me, I did accept some paints, the 96 set of watercolors, and with these sort of things, yeah, it's one, I kind of wanted to, I'd seen them on other artists trying them out, and I was like, well, let me stick my oar in, let me see, I want to see what they're like as well, and give a review, and because it will be, I feel like my style and way of working is also quite different from a lot of artists who do YouTube review videos. So, let's see. And I always think that it also gives me a nice subject for a video, and I get to test something out, and then either the kids also get to have a go with it, or I can give it to a friend. However, one thing I need to remember is that these videos take quite a lot of time to make, because I want to be quite conscientious in making sure I have swatched them out and given my best shot with them, and sort of maybe also read up a little bit on them. So I don't know in the future whether I will want to do so many of those, quite frankly. Maybe I'll just need to be a bit more choosy. I mean, I say, to be fair to myself, I say no as well, and especially if I've been offered a repeat too similar product. Like, I'm kind of like, alcohol markers. Alcohol markers aren't really for me. I wanted to try them out, and my kids love them, so they're more into them for sort of because they've watched all these jazz videos and manga artists and pretty proficient at blending them. My middle son is really actually really good with them, but I find it annoying that they bleed through. I don't like the smell again of alcohol. I don't like these sort of smells, anything that smells too strongly either. Just sort of, I don't know, it just annoys me. So they're not, and I don't see how they were going to combine in my sort of mixed media way, really, apart from actually coloured pencils work well on them. But maybe in the future, it's turning a little bit delicate. At first I was like, should I go? Oh, let me try and show you. Can I show you? Where is it? I was going to go a little bit, what's the word? Press hard with the crayons, get loose, and but this one here, this is actually, okay, this is interesting. This is, well, interesting to me. This is Neocolor 2, and from one of these heads. And I guess it's a bit loose for me. I feel looser. And then this is on, I think it is on Inktense, or it could be acrylic ink again, so it's permanent background. And then I went over with the water to see because I barely ever use Neocolor 2 in a water soluble way. I'm trying to do that more. This particular drawing, I didn't know, isn't it fun when you start off with art and you think you're going to go one way and then you sort of switch it up and go completely in a different direction. Oh my gosh, but this is a very long, boring process. So let's try. I will try and maybe I'll finish this for now and then I'll come back to it by myself. But when it's amazing actually, so you can, my top tip, if I were to give one top tip for loosening up, I would actually say use, especially little stubs of blunt crayon to, because that really sort of loosens up drawing styles. But you can, even with a relatively blunt, there's no point. You can also sharpen these. By the way, you can also sharpen your Neocolor. I would only do that with Neocolor 2 because you'd just be wasting this. Because Neocolor 2, what you can do is sharpen them onto a plate, and then they can make it into like paint. I make it into sort of like I feel it's a bit for me like wash-like. I must be a bit careful because I do quite like this drawing, and I don't want to. There's these periods where you have to be. I feel like I've got her neckline completely wrong now, though. How do I show that earring? Let's get white. Anyway, I wanted to basically demonstrate. Yeah, this sketchbook really is for just having a go with some different. I can jump around in it. It's kind of like an anything goes type of affair, but not abstract. I tend to keep abstracts in. So that's why I tend to have different abstract sketchbooks. I feel I'm finding, I don't know if I'll change again, I do like a little bit of categorization of my sketchbooks. Also, I feel that that happens because of the materials that you're using, whether we like it or not. Certain sketchbooks, you know, if you've got a good, what you've paid money for a watercolor sketchbook with the 300 GSM paper, to my mind, I'm probably like not going to just use, for example, just have a collage page in that. What I might do, my idea with that sort of good quality paper is go in first, maybe with watercolor or yeah, with watercolor and loose watercolors. Then if you don't like that page, then there's you can try out other media over it. It's kind of how I approach that. So you can play it back also if you layer. Really want to get that. Sort of opened. Man, it's so noisy. It's so noisy. I can hear like drilling. Hopefully it's not coming through. Okay, I'm going to leave this sketch here because I can just see. I actually don't want to go too much on this. I'm going to stop that one here. And then, do you know what? Let us... Actually, I might stop this video because I think this microphone is also going to stop. Oh my gosh, and it's 29 minutes. I mean, that's probably a good enough load of generalised happy waffling. Okay, I hope wherever you are, you're enjoying your art and having some fun, playing with your materials, giving yourself some, I don't know, the goals that you need at this moment. And thanks for watching my videos, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.